So first of all, you guys are going to have to excuse me for the piss poor quality camera. I promise you it gets better. But the first thing you never know about life is that you never know where it'll take you. Because life has taken me from a football player to we ref it now. And I have to say, it's really, really interesting. Reffing in the exact same league that I used to play in definitely brings up those emotions of I should go back and play football, but not really. One thing that I am just completely blessed for is that whatever these conditions are, they are subsided at least for the day. But more importantly, I can tell you guys, just like how these black and white stripes look so good on me, Ogdoaidic Chaos ORCUST looks good. In this video, I'm going to be explaining to you how good is Ogdoaidic ORCUST Chaos, and how cool it is to have an archetype that can dump light and dark monsters into the graveyard. So without further ado, let's jump on in. And here we are, guys, into my humble abode. Fortunately, the audio quality is a lot better, but don't worry, I won't keep you from this spice. Just a few notes, I actually made a change for this particular deck profile. I'll be able to explain the change, but the biggest one is not so much chaos. I was so busy trying to keep up with Ogdoaidic Invoked, I was just trying to make the deck as flashy as possible, and then I realized that this deck might already be better than Ogdoaidic Invoked. Not only that, I have some really cool combos as well as some budget options. So of course, if you are digging the vibe of the channel, then be sure to destroy that subscribe button, but also be sure to hit that notification bell so we can stay strong. Also, for the people that want to see more ORCUST Ogdoaidic combos or just support the channel, consider joining my Patreon. We talk a lot about stuff. I'm not gonna lie, this deck is kind of a surprise that I'm doing it. So without further ado, let's jump on in. The monsters for the Ogdoaidic ORCUST strategy is gonna start off fairly simple. 3 copies of ORCUST Girsu, 3 copies of ORCUST Nightmare, 2 copies of ORCUST Symbol Skeleton, and 2 copies of World Wand. This is actually a really standard ORCUST package. And the reason why I decided to go with ORCUST over Invoked is while Invoked does get you 3 disruptions so you can lose to a Dark Ruler no more, the ORCUST package actually has something a little different. The reason why the Ogdoaidic cards work really well with the ORCUST cards is that they provide free bodies to your side of the field when you need that extra monster to go into your combo. And the Ogdoaidic cards in turn actually allow you to put your ORCUST banished cards back into your graveyard to follow up. Next, we're gonna finish up with ORCUST Babel, Orchestrated Return, and Crescendo. That's pretty much very, very standard for an ORCUST package. We wanted to keep it really simple. Moving forward to the Ogdoaidic portion of this deck, we run 3 copies of Nunu, 3 copies of Nuya, 1 copy of Zoha. This card's actually underrated. It gets cards out of your hand to the graveyard. 1 curse, and seriously, the star of this deck is Alarid because it does allow you to put those ORCUST banished cards back into your graveyard. Anyone that has played ORCUST for quite some time knows the drawback of summoning Dingirsu means that you have to choose to either attach, which will get you next turn plays, or send to your opponent's graveyard. With Alarid in the graveyard, you don't have to worry about attaching. You can just send when Dingirsu, and on top of that, Dingirsu is a monster for Alarid to tribute. Seriously, this card is a godsend. It's also an 8, so you can hard make Dingirsu in this deck. The last card we're gonna play is the Ogdoaidic Overlord. This card is amazing for a follow-up, and it doesn't get away of our ORCUST combos. I'll show you in the combo tutorial. We finish up by playing 3 copies of Snake Rain and 2 copies of Ogdoaidic Water Lily. That's pretty much it for the Ogdoaidic package to set us up. Now, I explained a little bit earlier, but the thing that I love about Ogdoaidic is not only that it provides additional monsters to your side of the field, the next cool thing is that they are light and dark monsters. I actually wanted to take full advantage of that, and you guys can still by playing cards like Chaos Dragon Leveilleur. It's really easy to get light and dark monsters into your graveyard, something that Leveilleur can abuse. Another option that I was playing inside of this deck was the Rocket package, which is the reason why I called it a Chaos deck. It allowed me to summon Chaotic Ruler for practically free, which could potentially get not only Ogdoaidic cards into my graveyard, but also ORCUST. Ironically, I actually dropped that package, which you guys still could play. I actually have room, but I think that this package is way more potent. I personally feel that one of this deck's biggest weakness and one of the bigger weaknesses of a lot of decks in this format is dealing with Shadowwinder. And then I started thinking, if you can't beat them, join them. So in this particular build, we play 3 copies of Shadow Fusion, 1 copy of Shadow Genius, and 1 copy of Shadow Dragon. I'm telling you, this was big brain. So the reasoning behind this is if we go against a Shadow Winda, we can activate Shadow Fusion, send Dragon, and Genius from our decks to the graveyard to summon Apkallone. We'll be able to negate 2 cards with our Genius and Apkallone, as well as destroy a potential card like Shadow Schism with Dragon. This literally breaks our window lock, gives us a monster on our side of the field, as well as provide disruptions. How can you go wrong with this? Ironically, against other decks, you still can summon Apkallone to disrupt, but you also have the ability to summon Winda to your side of the field to lock your opponent out of special summoning. I feel like this engine should be experimented in so many different decks, and ORCUST was the first one I wanted to try. It has so much synergy with this particular strategy, even if it is just an additional monster to your side of the field that can be Apkallone to negate, as well as a discard from your hand to search a brick out to your hand. Not necessarily a brick, but it got an Ogdoaidic or an ORCUST card out of your hand, so I mean, come on now, that's good. And then ironically enough, to further complement the Shadow engine, we play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. I love summoning a Shadow monster and fusing with my opponent's cards, so I figured why not do that now? And then of course, I still do play targets to be able to get rid of some of your opponent's cards depending on what they're playing. I also play 3 copies of Forbidden Drip Drop. I think everything in this deck was mandatory, for the exception of the Shadow package. If you guys want to play a Rocket package or a Chaos package, go ahead and play that. But for the people that cannot afford Forbidden Drip, go ahead and play Dark Ruler no more if you want to stay true to this deck. Lastly is 1 copy of Foolish Burial and 2 copies of Lure of Darkness. This is a 42 card deck. Ironically, you could cut a Lure of Darkness to make this a 40 card deck, but I'm going to show you some cool things with a Lure in this particular strategy. So that is it for the main board and the extra deck. I said the main board and the extra deck, like I showed you the extra deck. Let me show you the extra deck right now. I'm gonna blaze through it. So for the extra deck, 2 copies of Dingirsu, 1 King of Feral Imps, 1 Access Code Talker. This card can be taken out for the Link 4 that banishes all cards on the field. I can't remember its name. I know it's not Trisbina. What is that card's name? Topologic. Zeraboros. Play Zeraboros. Or you could actually play Bomber Dragon if you so see fit. Boral Sword, Nightmare Unicorn, 2 Galtea, Nightmare Phoenix, IP, Link Grebo. And then for the fusions, 1 Dragastapelia, 1 Starving Venom, 1 Winda, 1 Apkallone. Now that we have the main board and the extra deck finally done, I can show you guys these really cool combos and why this deck is just so cool. So before we get into this combo sequence, there is one thing I heavily want to stress. There's actually multiple variants of this deck, and I almost forgot to tell you guys about a different variant. So instead of playing, IP Masquerena in your extra deck, if you do have the money, I would strongly suggest playing the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon engine instead of the IP Masquerena and the Nightmare Unicorn in your deck. Now, this is obviously for more budget players that can't afford the exorbitant amount of money that these two have, but both of these guys have their advantages and their disadvantages. One being IP Masquerena Nightmare Unicorn allows you to play Allure of Darkness, which is a combo in its own. We'll show you that in a little later. And B, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon just being a stronger Yu-Gi-Oh card. So consider playing either or. And then for the main board, if you guys were looking for things to drop for Dragoon space, what I would actually suggest is dropping both of the Allure of Darknesses and a Super Polymerization. Now, there is another caveat between this, because as you guys know, Vert Anaconda can send Super Polymerization to the graveyard, so losing one of your 3 Super Polymerizations for a Vert is still like, who cares? It's amazing. You still get to break your opponent's board, and Vert can turn an opponent's monster to dark, so you can force a monster to either activate its effect to get rid of the Vert or, get rid of an opposing threat. So I really almost forgot to tell you guys about the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon Predaplant Vert Anaconda. But this is going to be used as a part of the combo to be able to show you just how powerful this deck is. So, and this particular combo sequence, I am going to start. Let me get my 5-card hand. The 5-card hand isn't necessarily going to matter, but I just want to show you how powerful this deck can be. The first combo is going to be Snake Rain ORCUST Nightmare, and again, I'm going to show you guys why I think this is more powerful than Invoke, because it wins in the battle of attrition. We're going to use Snake Rain's effect to be able to send 4 Ogdoaidic monsters from our deck to the graveyard. So Alarate, Curse, Nuya, and Nunu, or Naya and Nunu. And then, since we control no monsters, we'll special summon Nunu. We'll also tribute Nunu to be able to special summon Curse to our side of the field, using its effect to special summon Naya. Now, Naya will activate to be able to add an Ogdoaidic Water Lily from our decks to our hand. We won't be using it this turn, though. From here, we'll use ORCUST Nightmare to be able to banish itself and send from our decks to the graveyard a World Legacy World 1, World 1 will banish itself to special summon that ORCUST Nightmare, and then we will link both the Naya and the ORCUST Nightmare into our Galtea. Our Galtea will shuffle in that World Legacy World 1. We'll be able to set the Orchestrated Babel and activate it to our side of the field. And then here's where things get really cool, as we could tribute, we can Exceed summon into the Dingirsu, and then tribute the Dingirsu for Owrit to our side of the field. It is a dark monster, and then return both Nunu and Naya in our graveyard, or in our banished pile, back to our graveyard. From here, we'll use both Curse and Owrit for a link summon. Here's where you guys would make your Predaplant Vert Anaconda, pay 2,000 life points, or your IP Masquerena. But allow me to break down exactly how powerful this board is, because it is going to win in that battle of attrition. The first thing that this has over the Evoked Engine is that it's not going to lose to Dark Ruler no more. The Evoked Engine is going to lose to Forbidden Droplets, Dark Ruler no more, Winged Dragon Raw Sphere Mode if they have 3 monsters. This, not so much. You do have your 1 disruption through the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, but the next cool thing is that during your opponent's turn, you have the ORCUST Nightmare to be able to send from your decks to the graveyard the ORCUST Symbol Skeleton to be able to provide another form of disruption in Dingirsu. But let's hypothetically say that we've used all that. We'll even discard a card for the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, and we need, we'll even say they outed the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. We need a follow-up play. Here is where this deck is just like amazing. I'm just gonna draw a random card for turn. Ogdoaidic Water Lily will activate, and if you guys look at our graveyard, we are going to have 5 reptile monsters with different names, so we can send the Overlord to the graveyard and special summon it, and then use its effect to nuke our opponent's entire board. That is a whoa if I have not heard one. Also, because we have, reptile monsters on our side of the field, we can special summon Nunu to our side of the field. And then we can tribute the Nunu to be able to special summon Curse to our side of the field. Curse's effect will special summon Naya back to our side of the field, and then trigger Naya's effect to add another Ogdoaidic Water Lily. So you guys are starting to see what's going to happen on the next turn, even if our opponent does break this particular board. As long as we can get another reptile monster in the graveyard, we're back in business, guys. We're gonna summon Overlord back to our side of the field and wipe their board. Another amazing thing about this is that this just has so many avenues. I'm gonna go ahead and tribute the Naya to be able to special summon Owrit back to my side of the field. And I don't know if people noticed, but this card can actually put banished cards in totality back into our graveyard. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the Nunu and the ORCUST Symbol Skeleton. That's right, guys. I'm gonna put ORCUST Symbol Skeleton back in, I'm gonna put ORCUST Nightmare back into my graveyard. I think these two are banished. Yeah, back into my graveyard, and we are going to play some shenanigans. I'm going to banish the ORCUST Nightmare to be able to send, I actually drew the World Legacy. Oh no, I should have a second one. Yeah, I played 2. To send the World Legacy World 1 from my graveyard, and then I'm gonna banish the World Legacy World 1 to be able to special summon the Symbol Skeleton. From here, we actually could make a Dingirsu and keep going, but I'm actually gonna go ahead and link these 2 monsters. My apologies, what am I thinking? My opponent doesn't have a board. We'll link 4 monsters. We will link into a Boral Sword Dragon to our side of the field. Finishing off, we'll activate the effect of ORCUST Symbol Skeleton. We'll special summon Dingirsu to our side of the field. Dingirsu will equip that ORCUST Symbol Skeleton, and that would be game, guys. We can also, even instead of summoning the Dingirsu, we can just go ahead and summon Galtea, and then use its effect again to shuffle in the World Legacy World 1, setting a crescendo this time around, and then go into our second Dingirsu afterward. There's just so much you can do, and keep in mind, I still have a good amount of cards in my hand. So for the people that are skeptical of that combo, it's not specific to those 2 cards. It actually can be done in quite a few ways. It's cool that Mech Girsu as well as our Nunu is the exact same full combo, so let's run through it. Nunu, send Owrit. Summon Nunu. Normal summon your ORCUST Mech Knight. Mech Knight will send Nightmare, and then we'll Exceed summon. Exceed into King of Feral Imps, detaching any card as a material. We're gonna add Naya from our deck to it. Naya's effect to send. We'll send Curse, and then tribute that King of Feral Imps to summon Curse to summon Naya. Naya's effect will add Water Lily, and now you guys are starting to see the combo. ORCUST Harpour will activate, or ORCUST Nightmare, Wonder Wand, World Wand, summon ORCUST Nightmare, Blink, summon Galtea, and then shuffle in that World Wand. Go ahead and activate that Babble. And this one may have slightly less potency because you don't want to use Aureate just yet, but you can still Dingirsu and link off your Curse and Dingirsu into your Predaplant Anaconda, as well as making your Dragoon or just your IP Masquerena play. Okay guys, so for our last combo, it's not necessarily, oh, I guess it is kind of a combo, is to show you that even when you banish cards like ORCUST Nightmare, you can still pretty much pop off. I'm gonna say we're gonna ORCUST Nightmare into, let's go double Nunu, or let's go Nunu in Zoha. As long as you draw Nunu or Snake Rain or Nunu in a level 4, you pretty much have full combo. But let's go ahead and say that we Allure Darkness, banishing the ORCUST Nightmare and draw these two cards. We're gonna go ahead and use Nunu's effect. Send Aureate, special summon Nunu, normal summon Zoha, Exceed summon. I swear, this would be Orochimaru's favorite Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It plays with snakes, it's dark, it's sinister. The only thing is that it doesn't want a 12-year-old boy's body. So, I mean, yeah, I guess there's that. Use the effect of King of Feral Imps. The reason why we play this card is actually to get rid of ORCUST Nightmares or cards that we have in our hand that we want into the graveyard. So this is actually really, really good. Add Naya, send Cursed. And you guys are starting to see how this works. Summon, and then Naya. Now, the really cool thing about Naya right here is that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and Ogdoaidic Lily is going to make 5. So we can actually special summon the Overlord to our side of the field. From here, we'll banish, tribute the Naya to summon Aureate, and then Aureate's effect will return both the ORCUST Nightmare and the Naya back into our graveyard. That's gonna set us up for full combo. ORCUST Nightmare, World Wand, summon, Link Shaman, Gal, she's such a Gal. Shuffle in 1, set and activate that Babble, make Dingirsu, and then Dingirsu plus Curse. Look man, I'm not telling you what to do with your options, but if you are broke, ain't nothing wrong with that. A lot of people are broke, coming on some hard times. IP Masquerena. But if you just so happen to be on the come up or rich gang, then you know, Predaplant Anaconda, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Now you got 3 disruptions. So as you guys can see, the Ogdoaidic deck really helps the ORCUST strategy, and the deck meshes so well with one another. Being able to combo off and have so much synergy, it is insane. Well, that is all that I have for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed Ogdoaidic ORCUST, or should I just say Snake ORCUST. This was a really fun deck to do that started off as an experiment to try to break out of the norm of Invoked, because I mean, you can splash Invoked in anything and make it good. I strongly feel that this is actually better than that particular strategy. But of course, if you want to see some other great CaliEffect content, be sure to check out these videos, as I'll catch you on the next one.